Welcome to Nomad Media Automotive Tales, where we tell vehicle history, some stories, and some unique and personal experiences. Let's get right into it. All right, so today we have Lynn Smelley, and he's going to tell us about his 1972 Dodge Challenger. Lynn, thanks for giving me some of your time today. Let's get right into it. Tell us some of the stories here, or some of the history about this car that you want to say, like you want to keep on film.
All right, Brian. I like the car myself, or have always enjoyed the Dodge Challengers. I had one when I was in high school, and I had a lot of memories, and good and bad in it. But this car itself was brought to one of my good friends to clean it up, and the man that owned it had passed away. His wife wanted Ricky to, to get it going, and she was going to sell it. So Ricky picked up the phone, gave me a call, said, "Come look at this car. You could be interested in it." And lo and behold, I come and looked at it, and told him that I was interested in it if she was sure she wanted to get rid of it. And through the processes that take place, she decided that she would sell it. And of course, I bought the car, and I've had it probably about 4 years. Since I've had the car, I've isolated the headlight wiring and what have you through some different means than the factory was set up, and it runs directly off the battery through some regulators, and that takes a load off of the old wiring harness, so to speak. And I've done a few other things that's put some molding on it that it didn't have, or upgraded some of the molding on the car. And the reason I enjoy it is it just brings back memories of when I was a youngster, I guess you could say. And
What type of memories does it bring back? You said you got good and bad memories from
well,
high school here. Look, I tell you, I want to hear about the bad memories. How do you have bad memories with?
well, the bad memories were Oxford police were very bad about following me around and harassing me, so to speak.
Uh-oh.
That old car was known to be very quick, and they got wind of that, and every time I left home, they'd kind of get behind me and ride my bumper.
Oh.
And one time it was kind of mist and rain, and I was headed towards Quintard Mall, and I told myself, well, I've had enough of this. So I just reached down and pulled the emergency brake handle up so the emergency brake wouldn't lock. And he was right on me, and I just jammed the emergency brake down hard as I could. The old car stopped pretty quick in the road. Well, in the mirror, the cop was in the ditch the last time I saw him, and that was one of the last times that they harassed me. And the good times, I guess, in the car were, that's back in the years ago. That's when the car is what I'd done all my dating in.
Yeah.
And I drove it for almost 10 years in my younger years, and wound up selling the car against my better judgment to buy some property where my house is built now. I mean, it was one of those things that you have confront you in life that you have to just kind of take, well, this is what I've got to do, not what I want to do, but I'm going to do what I've got to. And this old car, it's a driver. It's not a show car. And myself and my wife enjoy getting in it and going to car shows and just idling around town. And
I love it when I hear fellas like you say this isn't a show car. I'm like, man, this car is a show car. Like, it might not be to your standard, and it might not be concourse grade, but I tell you, a lot of people who probably watch these videos, they're probably going to look at this car and be like, oh man, what I would do to have that car.
well,
You know,
yes,
and they would show it. They would take it to car shows. They would probably do all the hot rodding with it too. Like, hey, don't sell your car short, man. Like, and I know I've been present when you've won trophies with this thing. So obviously it's a show car.
Well, there's a few folks out there that really like it, and I guess they come from kind of my background in a way that the colors are kind of unique, and it's a takeoff of the Plum Crazy Purple. It's not exactly Plum Crazy Purple. It's a little darker and a little bit different. And for me, I've always been one that kind of danced to a different tune than most people do, you know, and I just enjoy the car, to get out, ride around in, and like I say, we go to shows, and we've been to Kentucky, we've been to Mobile, and you know, we'd like to get out and about just to see what other people have, and kind of, you know, compare apples and oranges, and you know, it gives you something to look forward to, and to, you know, you can include the car, and of course yourself, and you meet a lot of nice people, very nice people, and you know, make good friends, and you're able to stay in touch with them, and it just kind of opens up a door sometimes that if, you know, if the car wasn't there, the door might remain closed on you. So, but you know, I've got a lot of things that I would like to do to the car, depending upon my health and my piggy bank. But that pretty much sums up my thoughts on the car. You know, it's a good, solid running car.
I want to take you a little bit back to these stories here. Like you mentioned in high school that you used this car, like when you had, I'm assuming it's your original car, not this car, but this car is kind of a throwback for you on that one.
Is,
And
yes,
it's
sir.
you mentioned that you know, the good, the bad, and then there's everything else, and it's but you mentioned that you like to go out on dates on this, so it's like, what all happened there? Is this something that's going to get you in trouble? Like, 'cause I'm about
Oh
to.
no, no. All of my dating before. Well, actually, I had the car when myself and my wife got married,
Okay.
and kept it about a year after we married.
So what
And
does she think about it back in the day?
oh,
Like,
she loved it. It was. It almost got me in some real trouble a few times. I remember there was a lady that I knew personally. The police had her pulled over at the Sky City parking lot one night. And I come by, and there was a red light there, and I stopped. I glanced over, and I thought, well, wonder what they harassing her about. So I just blowed the horn, snatched her down in low gear, and left burning rubber, and went straight to the house. Well, evidently it got her out of a ticket. Almost got me put in jail, but I managed to get around behind the house and hide before the police come through. But and I was known back in those days for, you know, showing out a little bit, and any car that wanted to go, we'd go. And most of the time I came out on top. Of course, there's always one out there somewhere that'll get you goat if you don't watch them. But, you know, I kept the car so long, and drove it for that many years, and it just kind of became a second part of me. And I missed it when I got rid of it, and I told my wife later on, before we ever found this car, that, you know, one of these days I'm going to find one that I'm going to jump on. And she give me, you know, that look like, you better not. But anyway, this old car, we happened to look up on it. I hated that the man that had it passed away, and but the only thing I could say to him today would be that it's in good hands now. I'll take care of the car, keep it as nice as I know how, and I won't say I won't abuse it. I'll stick my foot in it every once in a while, but that's part of the reason I've got it, I guess you could say.
so what you're saying is, if someone rolls up on this car right here, be sure you rev at him. He might show out for you.
Don't tempt me. I might act up on you.
Well, that's great. That's funny there too. And so you mentioned a lot of little custom things that you've done to it. You know, just little tweaks and things, making it your own. Out of all those little custom features that you've done, what do you think's your favorite? Which one is your favorite that you've done?
Probably upgrading the headlights and the wiring. It's got the lights that I replaced it with. They're at night driving. They're great. They really brighten the roadway up, and that is one of the things that as you get older in life, you'll learn that my vision is not quite what it used to be. And, you know, without proper headlights and this, that, and other at night, I'm leery about driving it.
So Lynn, is this a car that you plan to keep in your family for a while? And if so, what's something that you would want the next person in your family to remember always about it?
Well, my plan is to let one of my grandchildren have it if they're interested, and they all seem to be, bless their heart, car oriented.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like for one of them to have it and know that it belonged to me, and it was one of my prized possessions. It's kind of sentimental to me, and one of the things that I would want them to know was if you take the car, you've got to look after it, maintain it, use it, don't abuse it, enjoy it when you can. There's not any more out there anymore. Mm-hmm. And if you've got one that's in good shape, solid car, don't abuse it or run over something with it, because the parts are impossible to find. The paints and what have you today are different than what's on these cars originally. And it'd be a good investment for someone down the road, because they're not going to decrease in value. Mm-hmm. They're only going to go up as long as they're maintained and looked after. And I've got another car that's a 2011 Dodge Charger. It's a Mopar edition. It was only made for 1 year. It was a limited number made. It's got the little gift box that came with it. It's got the special paperwork for that model of car. And it will go to one of my family, hopefully. It's my son bought it, and he was living in Moody, Alabama, and driving to Gadsden every day for work. And the gasoline and insurance was just about to eat him alive. And he was going to trade it in on a smaller car. And I told him before he left, I said, well, I'll give you, this much for the car. And if you trade it in, they're probably not going to give you much for it. They just want you to get their car. Anyway, make a long story short, he went and talked to several dealers, and he called me and said, Dad, you still interested in buying this car? I said, yeah, I'll take it for what I offered you for it. And he said, all right, it's yours if you want it. And I said, that's fine. You'll get a better deal just outright buying a vehicle rather than trying to trade in. Mm-hmm. And that car has been mine and Karen's for, I don't know, probably close to 10 years now. And mm-hmm. I say it's her car. She drives it all the time. And
well, this is yours, so I mean, she's got to have something.
Yeah,
right?
Well, yeah. I say it's mine. It's ours, but
right.
I do. She won't even drive this car unless it's an absolute emergency. But she knows it's my little doll for what that's worth. But
it's your baby.
But the old cars, it's a solid car. I hadn't found any rust in it, and that alone brings my feelings for it up a notch. And where there's rust, rust is to an automobile like cancer is to a human.
It has to be cut out. Yep. Well, Lynn, it's an amazing car. Like, I appreciate you coming to talk to me about it. Like, it's really cool. Like, I love the fact that it takes you back and things like that. I love hearing these stories where it's like, man, I had one of these cars in high school, and like we would just tear up the McDonald's parking lot or something in it. I love hearing it, and I hate that the cops were messing with you, but it's funny to hear that from the perspective of the 80s, I'm guessing.
70s and 80s.
The 70s and 80s, from hearing it from that perspective versus a modern day perspective. But thanks for taking the time, man, and I really appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate it, Brian.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure.
And let's move right into listen to what this monster sounds like crunk up. Well, there you have Lynn Smelley's 1972 Dodge Challenger. Lynn, thanks again for taking the time to talk to me. It's an amazing car. Is there anything you'd like to say to the audience?
Well, first of all, I want to thank Brian for taking time to talk with me. And the only thing I could tell anybody out there that sees this that has a passion for automobiles would be to, if you see something that you think you can get involved with and get your family involved with, jump on it if you can, because these types of cars are going the way of the wind, and apparently all gasoline powered vehicles are headed toward the dumpster if our current politicians and their point of view takes place.
Unfortunately.
And, yes, very unfortunate. And you know, it's part of history, and history is what defines us. And I would advise anybody that's got any kind of passion at all to, you know, jump in there and swim with the rest of us.
Yeah. All right. And that's great, man. That is a good message to tell everybody. But with that, we'll see you in the next one. Peace.
I'll see you at the next car show, okay?
All right. Thanks for watching, guys. Be sure you like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.